Before we dive into the blood-soaked madness of this 88 film slasher classic collection review, a quick heads up for listeners and viewers alike. These episodes come straight from the podcast Under the Stairs archives, recorded before the launch of the YouTube channel and long before video podcasts became part of the show. These reviews were originally crafted purely for audio. So if the production feels a little rougher around the edges or a little more stripped back than current episodes, that's because you're hearing the show in its earlier form. Raw, passionate, and let's be honest, a little waffly at times. Whether you're revisiting these reviews or discovering them for the first time, please sit back and relax and enjoy this trip through the golden age of mass killers, inventive gore, and VH era nightmares. This podcast is not safe for work and will feature movie spoilers. It will feature scenes described of a graphic nature. It will contain language which most listeners may find offensive. Welcome to the podcast Under the Stairs. Hi everyone and welcome to the podcast Under the Stairs. This is disc number 2 in our slasher classic series brought to you by 88 Films. It's a series of reviews which is twinned with the Italian collection that we've been doing for about a year, and we're turning our attention to the slasher classic series that 88 Films have put out, and we're going to be working through them every second Sunday, one at a time. So if you haven't checked out our first review, landed 2 weeks ago, and we looked at Graduation Day, a movie that I had not seen before, and found out that I had a fucking blast with. Really enjoyed that movie. And now we're swinging our attention to disc number 2, which is Mother's Day, a movie that I had seen before years ago. This is one of the few trauma movies that I actually enjoy, and we're going to be getting into that with a review after the first break. But before we get to that, let's take a second here and acknowledge that we, as friends and podcasters out there, managed to sit down and get through another week, and Podcast Under the Stairs in that week put out another 4 episodes. We kicked it off way back on Monday with our John Carpenter January episode looking at Assault Precinct 13 and Big Trouble in Little China. We then followed that up with a little bonus review for all y'all out there of a movie that's about to land called Piercing. That was fun. And then we swung into another little bonus review for you all out there as I recapped January, and that'll be something we'll be doing at the end of every month. Not recapping January, but recapping the month we went through, giving you information on the movie titles that came out, what the labels announced in that month as future releases, labels like Scream Factory, Arrow, etc. And also cover some of the big news topics in the horror genre for that month. So we put that one out, and closing out this week with a lovely little look at a slasher classic for you all. Now moving into next week, we have loads planned for the whole month of February, but moving into next week, tomorrow is a bit of a mystery. I've still not kind of planned it yet. My original plans fell through, so I'm going to have to throw something together at the last minute, but I dare say it's going to be a ton of fun, whatever it is, when it drops. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. We'll announce Movie Club for February. That'll also come out probably Thursday, and then there'll be other various bits and bobs as well in the background which will be happening. So keep your eyes peeled on the Facebook group page, where I will post what is upcoming for the whole month of February and how you can interact with some of those choices. So yeah, lots going on. There's always lots going on under the stairs, and like I say, February is going to be a packed, stacked month. We're going to be bringing back Russian Roulette franchise retrospective. Ryan Lewis chose it because he had the golden ticket and he's went for Evil Dead, so that live draw will happen on Thursday, which returns this Thursday. So tons of stuff. But before we get into all that, I'm going to take a very short break just now. You're going to hear promos for shows that I love, the trailer for our feature movie review. It's Mother's Day from 1980 coming right up right after this.
Hey, feeling down? Feeling low? Not enough podcasts about movies in your life? Why not try?
They must be destroyed on sight.
the new podcast cure-all, sure to get you right with the world and on a path to better living. We have exploitation, we have Italian horror, we have zombies, we have slashers, we have crime films, we have spaghetti westerns, we even have sci-fi and sex comedies. So take a dose of...
They must be destroyed on sight!
As needed, and let the hosts, Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest host cure what ails you.
Warning, may cause atrophy, African consumption, black fever, bone shave, chin cough, colic, cramp colic, dropsy of the brain, elephantitis, grocer's itch, jaundice, mania, miasma, mortification, palsy, Pott's disease, rheumatism, scurvy, St. Anthony's fire, summer complaint, and worm fit in some people. Consult a physician before listening.
Somewhere in the woods of Deep Barren, a woman and her sons live in isolation. When they come out, it's for one reason only.
Now let's see what you brought, Mother.
Some say she spoiled her boys. Some say she drove them mad. No one who found out has lived to tell.
Darlings, you have made your mother very proud.
Charles Kaufman's Mother's Day.
My boy.
Jackie, Abby, and Trina have come to the wilderness for a weekend of fun. Little do they know that out there something lies watching, waiting. Someone's coming. They're getting closer. There's nowhere to run, no one to hear you scream. When you know how to celebrate, every day is Mother's Day. From the darkest corner of the imagination to the outermost reaches of insanity and terror comes a celebration of mayhem. Charles Kaufman's Mother's Day. No one can escape on Mother's Day because Mother's Day never ends.
And welcome back. So you just heard the trailer for Mother's Day. It's disc number 2 in the Slasher Classics collection from 88 Films. And according to their website, here's a blurb. It says, one of the most notorious and controversial horror shockers of all time has come to UK Blu-ray, uncut and uncensored. Mother's Day introduces us to 3 20-something women on a camping trip to hell. Our helpless heroines are stalked and snatched by a pair of psychosexual brothers and their insane parent. But estrogen proves tough to overcome, and Mother's Day ultimately provides us with a chair-gripping, sanguine-stained battle of the sexes. Prepare to be disorientated and disturbed by one of the true greats of 80s independent terror. Considered to be a classic of backwoods slasher genre, Mother's Day debuted in 1980 to censorship problems and critical confusion, but gained a fan following that includes such Hollywood heavyweights as Eli Roth, director of Hostel, and Brett Ratner, director of Rush Hour. Indeed, Ratner would eventually produce the lavishly budgeted 2010 remake starring Rebecca De Mornay, although as in most cases it's the original that is more potent and powerful. 35 years after its premiere, Mother's Day has lost none of its lacerating satire, and this influential splatter outing remains recommended to even the most seasoned of scary movie fans. So let's talk special features on this one. You basically have an all-region disc. It has an audio commentary by Charles Kaufman, the director, and Rex Piano. Charles Kaufman intro, Rex Piano intro, behind-the-scenes Super 8 footage, Eli Roth talking about Mother's Day, Charles Kaufman and Darren Bousman talk Mother's Day, theatrical trailer, TV spots, graduation day trailer, 88 Films, trailer reel, and reversible sleeve. The picture format is HD 1080p. And the audio format is DTS HD MA Mono 2.0. There is only English language on it. There is no subtitles on this one at all because it's all in English language. And yeah, there we go, ladies and gents. That's all she wrote on that. So let's just get into this. Mother's Day is a movie that I saw years ago, absolutely fucking years ago. And I've seen it a couple of times since, but the last time I saw it is several years ago. If truth be told, I actually quite like the 2010 remake as well. I think Rebecca De Mornay actually plays the role pretty stellar, and they changed the tone because they have to change the tone. This is a movie that could only really exist in the very late 70s and very early 80s. And like I said at the intro there, maybe my favourite Trauma movie. I'm not the biggest fan of Trauma, and the more comedic and more slapstick, and definitely the more gross out Trauma went, the less interested I got overall with it. I just couldn't make that rolling decision. There are some exceptions out there for sure. Got a lot of time for the Toxic Avenger, but you know, there are huge jumps between their output of things like Mother's Day to something like Poultrygeist, for example. Always had a lot of time for the kind of rawness of Mother's Day, and like I say, that kind of remake took a different approach to it, like where a lot of remakes started going down a different angle. A good example would be I Spit in Your Grave remake. It's a movie that I don't really like, mostly because the original one is this really uncomfortable grindhouse movie. It's this kind of exploitative look at rape revenge, whereas the remake is basically a torture porn movie. And I get the feeling that's where the kind of lost in translation to the 2000s kicked in. It was like, well, if we're going to remake these gnarly rape revenge movies, then the only way we can put them out is under the banner of torture porn. And I know it's a term that some people really dislike, but I think it kind of suits that subgenre quite well. It's gore and violence and torture for titillation, so I think the porn moniker on the end is probably right. I know a lot of these directors didn't necessarily want lumped under that. Eli Roth does not surprise me that this is one of his favourite movies, because he was one of the purveyors of that particular subgenre at the time. But it's the way that they kind of shoehorn it in, very much like rape revenge was shoehorned into exploitation cinema in the 70s, because that was the thing back then. It kind of makes sense. Now with Mother's Day, what you have is this performance, central performance anyway, by this, well, it seems like a kind of dotty old wife. Dotty being a kind of English kind of slang term for someone that's kind of quirky, kind of forgets things, a little bit forgetful, you know, a dotty old woman. And we very quickly meet her two sons, who are could very well easily been stunt doubles from something like Mad Max, The Road Warrior. They all live backwoods, and she has kind of conditioned them to be these purveyors of ultimate violence and degradation. And we have these three girls who are going back for a high school reunion camping trip / sort of thing, and they very quickly come across this these two boys who kidnap them. And then really there's not a lot of plot to talk about in this movie. They're held in the kind of compound of where they live. They're subjected to rape and kind of physical violence, and eventually they kind of break free, and instead of running to go and get help, kind of galvanizes their rage, and they go back and take revenge on the family that did the horrible deeds to them, and kills which could be described as quite violent and uncomfortable. And there is a hammer to the testicles using the claw side, but you could also say that the death of the mother, which is a death by inflatable fake boob, is maybe a little bit. Do we dare say it was maybe a little bit out there? Or do we say that it kind of fits in with the tone of what the movie was kind of going for? This idea of being nursed, being mothered to death by a fake tit. I don't know. Part of me thinks it's goofy and it's funny. Other part of me thinks it's actually quite clever, and it's kind of tone and what it's actually trying to put forward. Obviously our two female characters who survive out of the three are deeply wounded and scarred, destroyed psyches forever. But yeah, it's really not. This movie's one of these ones which And we're going to get this with a lot of these slasher movies. I feel specifically with the next one we're doing, disc number 3, Don't Go in the Woods. There isn't a lot in the plot. It's just the way the movie is shot, the way it's acted, that really gives its impact. The central kind of performance by the two brothers here are deeply, deeply unsettling. I mean, like, incredibly unsettling. And I mean, you've got the mother who wears the neck brace, whose makeup isn't quite right, whose lipstick's kind of on her teeth all the time. And then you have the two brothers, one who is very slow, but kind of looks semi-normal, and then the other one who is, you know, who's got a wandering eye, and terribly kept teeth, to the point where it's very obvious that it's a mould. I mean, the colour of the gums just doesn't make sense, and the teeth are so fake. But at the same time, he is the smarter of the two brothers, even though it's kind of bucking convention. When you look at him, he would be the one that you would assume dumb hick. He's the kind of more ruthless of the two. And their performances are great. The mother is really, really good in this movie as well. She crosses the line between what you would consider harmless old lady to vicious, twisted manipulator, to the point where at times she's almost pushing the brothers further than they would go in their sadistic nature to get more violence out of it. I think some of the special effects are actually surprisingly well done, considering this movie doesn't cost a lot of money at all. It's made on a shoestring budget. I think that's done quite well. Yeah, it's obvious that it's kind of Hammer style, over the top, bright red poster paint blood, but I kind of like that. There's in the opening sequence, the kind of pre-credits, you get this whole big build up where a girl she thinks she's doing a good deed, and ultimately her boyfriend is murdered, and then she is almost raped twice and then heavily brutalised by these two brothers. And this is the opening scene before the credits, and it does not surprise me that censors freaked the fuck out when they watched this for the first time, because it is so just blatantly violent and in your face at the beginning. And when you finally settle down and realise where you're starting to go with things, I think that's where it starts to settle in as to what you're actually watching, and builds up the kind of level of degradation from there. Yeah, this is a really fucking good movie. I mean, I would temper my expectations if you're going in to watch Mother's Day for the first time. If you're a fan of kind of late 70s, early 80s, kind of more exploitation cinema, then it's a movie you should certainly check out for sure. I think it's almost essential viewing from that time period to get a handle on things. Like I say, it's not a comfortable viewing at all. At times it's downright hokey, and that's what makes it uncomfortable to watch. It's like, really, that dialogue's a bit shit, or really, these performances are a bit too over the top. But for the most part, what you get is a movie that really delivers a kind of weird, that's how to describe it. It weirdly struts a line of, surreal violence and surreal humour in a way which many movies don't do, and it's not scared when walking that line to put one foot heavily over into either side to really kind of go that distance and make you think, well, you know, it was working until they did that, or it was quite funny until they did that. I mean, the movie really does push that. Like, well, a lot of these movies in the slasher collection, I imagine there's going to be a lot of people that watch this and say, oh, this is just shit. But you have to understand the nature in which these movies are held in, the time frame they came out, and the fact that at the time they were pushing conventions one way or another. It delivers a lot whilst necessarily not having a lot to deliver. And it's a movie that I think handles, it doesn't, like I say, it doesn't surprise me that it found an audience with certain filmmakers out there. It kind of updates a lot of what you've seen in the kind of 70s exploitation stuff, specifically things like Last House on the Left or I Spit in Your Grave, and puts the trauma spin on it, but in a way which weirdly works. I don't understand. It weirdly works when it shouldn't. It's a movie that, even revisiting this time around, maybe for the 4th or 5th time I've ever seen it, I found myself kind of sitting in and going, this feels like it's a really transgressive movie for the time, even though we were getting things like Friday the 13th out there. I love the fact that it starts by really kind of torturing girls, but in the classic trauma fashion. Just when you think this is borderline sexist to the point of nausea, it flips conventions on you, and you don't just get 2 final girls at this one, you get 2 fucking badass girls who go out and seek revenge themselves. You could argue that they seek revenge by becoming the thing they're trying to avoid, or you could argue that, you know, it really promotes this idea of powerful female kind of stance at the end of the movie, and I would agree with that as well. I think Trauma, for all it loves flaunting boobs and shit like that out there, and yes, it can be very exploitative of the female form. I think at times they do really well in making sure that, you know, it's all tongue-in-cheek and actually giving you really badass kind of female characters, whereas a lot of slasher movies from this time do not. It is, however cookie cutter we can make these female characters is what we'll do. So yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's got a ton of things that you can kind of hang your hat on. I think the performances are wacky and a bit surreal, but done in a way which works. I think what you get is incredible gore in this movie. It's outlandish, but at the same time it's outlandish to the point where it kind of works, and even when it doesn't work, it's like you just roll with this roller coaster ride to the very end. If I was to grade it, I'd give it 4. I think it's a solid 4. I think it's a movie that you should check out if you have not seen it and you want to round out your knowledge of that era. For sure, please go and check that one out. But if you're not too keen on the goofier side of early 80s horror movies, then this is probably one you want to skip. But I get a feeling there's going to be a lot in this slasher collection that you're going to want to skip then. This one is certainly niche for sure, but I think it packs a lot of bang for your buck. And this is one where I would say go and watch the remake as well, if you're more concerned that the older stuff won't work for you. I don't think you're going to lose anything by watching that remake. I think it's actually surprisingly well done. So there we go, 4 out of 5 for this movie. I'm going to take my final break. When I come back, I'm closing out the show right after this. And you've been listening to the podcast Under the Stairs. This has been disc number 2 in our Slasher Classic series. That's right, we got to disc number 2 already, and we looked at a little movie called Mother's Day. Oh, that's right, Mother's Day. I like this movie. A ton of time for it, and hopefully you guys go out there and check it out as well. And I look forward to hearing your comments. Is this the first time you've seen it, or have you seen this movie before? And if so, what did you think of it? Does it stand up? Is it something that you like? Is it just too goofy for you? If it is, I completely understand. In 2 weeks' time, we will be looking at disc number 3, a movie that was on the Video Nasties list. Oh, that's right. And a movie which I covered as part of doing the Nasty. I have not seen it ever on Blu-ray. I caught it on, I think it was a YouTube rip when we reviewed that one. And yeah, we're going to have some fun with this one. Disc number 3 will see us look at Don't Go Into the Woods Alone. The stuff that's the blurb, the shit that's on the 88 Films website says one of the original UK video nasties, Don't Go Into the Woods, doubtlessly attracted the attention of the anti-horror brigade due to its misanthropic madness and non-stop splatter action. A must-see slasher shocker, the Utah-lensed limb-lopping bout of slice and dice lunacy also packs in plenty of comedic carnage and a natural park setting that provides a touch of creepy claustrophobia. Once banned but now available in all of its uncut outrageousness, 88 Films is proud to present Don't Go In the Woods with a new HD transfer overseen and approved by director James Bryan. Special features on this one, well, it's all region, so you can watch it wherever you are in the world. Brand new 2K transfer overseen and approved by the director, an audio commentary by the director, a group commentary by Darren Miller, Mary, Gail, Ants and James Bryan, the making of Don't Go Into the Woods, talk show appearance, theatrical trailer, posters and stills from the gallery, 88 Films trailer reel and a reversible sleeve. Like we said, it's in all region, it's 1080 HD, and the audio format is DTS HD MA Mono 2.0. So don't go in the woods alone will be the movie we're discussing in 2 weeks' time. There's a multitude of ways to check out podcasts Under the Stairs. As always, I say come across and check us out on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the feed, leave us a rating and review. It's the best way to support us on that platform. You can also check us out on Stitcher Smart Radio, SoundCloud, Google Play and the TuneIn app. You can visit our website, tputscast.com. You can buy merch, posters and enamel pins and support what we do Under the Stairs by going to tputscast.bigcartel.com. You can visit our Facebook pages if you want to interact with the community. Our group page is tputscast on facebook.com/groups/tputscast. If you want to just find out when the shows are dropping, and occasionally check out our Thursday live streams, then it's tputscast again, but go to facebook.com/tputscast. You're seeing a theme here. You can interact with me /the Baz on the twin prongs of social media sexiness. Instagram and Twitter both can be followed, wait for it, at tputscast. There is a theme here, ladies and gents. The podcast Under the Stairs will return with something extra special and not thrown together at the last minute tomorrow. But until then, wherever you are, whatever the time zone is, and whatever you're up to in this big bad world of ours, please take care of yourselves out there. This is Duncan McLeish broadcasting live from Under the Stairs, and I am signing off.